Judge McAfee in Fulton County has just issued an order in the state of Georgia versus Donald Trump and others case. This was an order, what's called in Georgia demur, which is basically motions for particularity, motions to clarify. And they were regarding the charges that were raised of soliciting government officials. And he said it was not pled sufficiently. Andy, of course, practices in those courts. What exactly do we have here? It's a temporary win.
Yes, it's a temporary win, but it's nothing major. It's going to be easily remedied by the state. They can either ask for a certificate of immediate review to the Court of Appeals. Unlikely they would do that. The judge said he would grant that and let them appeal it right away if they wanted to. But the easy way to do it is what the judge suggested. Go back to a grand jury in Fulton County and clean up what you failed to do, and that is to plead the evidence with a little bit more particularity in each of your counts, saying that this is the nature of the commission, saying what the underlying felony is, that they supposedly were importuning the members of the General Assembly or the Secretary of State or the members of the House to do. Clean it up a little bit, give me a bill of particulars, which in federal court would happen, and clean it up.
So it does show, though, that FANI Willis got it wrong when she went to the grand jury.
Yes.
She didn't get it pled,
No.
and she didn't plead the indictment with specific allegations meriting a crime.
That's right.
So I think that part's important. Sloppy.
It was sloppy work. It was work that should not have occurred. A DA's office in Fulton County should never have failed to plead with particularity a motion, a count of an indictment, especially in a case of this nature. If someone did not do their legal research, someone put it together fast and loose and didn't do it right. The judge caught it and said, you're going to do it right or not do it at all.
So they're likely not going to appeal here because that would take forever. And they can impanel a grand jury, probably impanel now. There's always grand jury sitting, and they can go back to the grand jury. We'll see what happens there, and we'll discuss it. Of course, everybody's waiting for the big decision, which is, will FANI Willis and the Fulton County DA be thrown off the case? Jordan, we're here. Now, you're in France at our office at the ECLJ in Strasbourg. We're hearing that order is going to come either tomorrow or Friday.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, it's kind of bizarre. I remember sitting there with both of you last week before we were here in France, which I've now been here a week, and we still don't have that order from the Fulton County judge. And then we get this breaking news about these counts that can be repled. So should people read into anything there? Should they read into the fact that he's already telling the DA's office that they can, replete these counts, go before a grand jury again, as if they aren't going to be removed?
Jordan, restate that for people, because it is interesting that is there a tell here about what's going to happen on this FANI Willis being removed from the case?
Yeah, we left for this trip to go back to visit the ECLJ. We were in Paris first for meetings last Wednesday, and that was after the hearings had been done, and the judge said he was going to take his time to issue the ruling on whether or not FANI Willis and her whole DA team would be dismissed from the case and a new DA team appointed. And then you get these breaking news alerts, even while we're over here in France, and we're following everything like the hearing yesterday about the judge dismissing some counts, but also writing a path forward for the DA to rebring the counts, going even saying a quick way could be to go before a grand jury. Of course, there could be appeals. That would take longer. But then it's whether or not to read into anything there, because as Andy said, in a normal case, because you wouldn't have the challenge of the DA being dismissed out there, why is the judge ruling on this if he actually really is considering dismissing FANI Willis and the entire DA team?
It's a very interesting question. Look, we're going to get an answer to that probably in the next 2 days. But it is an interesting issue. But Andy points out to a footnote in the opinion to see how the judge is viewing this situation. And I think that's also indicative here of it probably does go back to maybe that they're not going to throw off the case. I don't know.
I don't know. He says in a footnote 8, and this is really important, I think, to look at this. This does not mean the entire indictment is dismissed. The state may also seek a reindictment supplementing these 6 counts, something easily remedied. So he says, I am dismissing these counts because they didn't plead the underlying felony with particularity, but no problem. You can reindict it and supplement those counts, easy remedy. So, the judge giveth and the judge taketh away.
So there's a very interesting poll that came out, and this is a majority of Democrats would back efforts by lawmakers to stop President Trump from entering the White House by blocking his congressional certification of victory. Now, everybody else called that, this is what's so interesting, everybody else called that interference with Congress, but I guess when Democrats do it, it's not. In a poll that suggests a Democratic-style January 6th protest, the latest Rasmussen report survey found that 57% of Democrats would support, quote, refusing to certify the election results if Trump wins, Andy.
Yeah. When Trump does it, it's insurrection. When the Democrats do it, it's promoting democracy, and it's okay to do it. That's exactly what this is.
So you look at that case, then you look at the immunity case that we're filing a brief on where they're trying to say there's no presidential immunity for official acts and you can be subject to criminal charges. Then turn around and we talked to you about the Fulton County case, 6 charges dismissed. We'll see what the judge decides on keeping FANI Willis in the case or not. We should know that tomorrow or Friday.